Hey everyone, welcome back to Chat Like a Native. You know how sometimes it feels like you can think way faster in English than you can actually speak it?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like your brain is just racing ahead, but your mouth can't keep up?
Definitely. Like you've got all these great ideas, but then you get stuck trying to get them out.
Exactly, and it can be so frustrating.
It really can.
So in this deep dive, we're going to tackle that feeling head on.
Sounds good.
We're going to uncover some techniques that can actually help you speak English faster.
Okay.
And not just faster, but more naturally, too.
Right, because it's not just about speed, it's about sounding fluent and effortless.
Exactly. So are you ready to dive in?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, great. So one of the first things we need to think about is how we group words together when we speak. Instead of thinking about each word individually,
Okay. Yeah.
we can start to think in these natural chunks.
Thanks.
Yeah, like little groups of words that tend to go together.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It's almost like training your brain to handle phrases as single units. That makes sense.
So, for example, you know how we often say, on the other hand,
Yeah.
or I'd like to,
Right.
or even like simple greetings, how are you doing?
Yeah, those are all really common.
Exactly. And our brains can actually learn to recognize and produce those entire chunks almost automatically.
Like as if they were just one word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any of these chunks or phrases?
Oh, yeah, tons of them, like, in my opinion. Or, it's important to note.
Oh, those are good ones.
Yeah, they just seem to roll off the tongue for native speakers.
Right. And so for us as learners, the key is to kind of like internalize those chunks
Okay.
so that we can use them more readily. And it feels like that would really help us speak faster.
Yeah, for sure. It's like having those pre-built blocks ready to go.
Exactly. So how can we actually start to do that?
Well, one really effective way is to actually, physically mark those chunks.
Mark them.
Yeah, so, take a short text, maybe a paragraph or something,
Okay.
and use a slash or something to mark where those natural pauses or groupings occur. I see, so, visually separating those chunks.
Exactly. And that helps your brain start to recognize them as units.
Interesting.
So, for example, in the sentence, I'm going to go to the store later,
Yeah.
you might chunk it like this.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the store later.
Oh, I see.
And then you practice reading it aloud,
Mm.
really emphasizing each chunk as one fluid unit.
Got it. So it's kind of like we're learning the rhythm of these common English phrases.
Precisely.
And that makes a lot of sense to me because, I've also noticed that native speakers often kind of run their words together.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not always super distinct, like each word isn't pronounced separately.
Right, and that's something called linking sounds.
Linking sounds.
Yeah, and it's a huge part of what makes natural speech sound so smooth and effortless.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more. Like, how does linking work?
Sure, so basically when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound,
Yeah.
those sounds often blend together.
Oh, interesting.
So, for example, the phrase, what are you up to, might sound more like, what are you up to?
Oh, wow.
Or, did you ever see him? Could become, did you ever seen?
I see. So it's all about efficiency, kind of like economizing the sounds.
To someone who's learning, it might sound a bit like laziness at first.
Yeah, it could sound that way.
But it's really just how the sounds naturally interact.
So how do we even begin to learn this linking stuff?
Well, going back to those chunked phrases is a great starting point.
Okay.
Once you've got those natural groupings, you can look for opportunities for linking.
Within those groups?
Yes, within those groups and also between them.
So where a consonant ends a word and a vowel begins the next.
Exactly. Or where two vowel sounds might create kind of a glide.
Oh, okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
And then you practice saying the phrase slowly, really focusing on making that smooth transition between the sounds.
Got it. And then gradually increase the speed as it starts to feel more natural.
That's it.
Okay, this is great.
Yeah.
So we're training our brains to think in chunks.
Yes.
And we're connecting our words more smoothly with linking.
Precisely.
So what's the next step in actually building up our speaking speed in a more controlled way?
This is where a technique called timed repetition comes in.
Timed repetition.
Yeah, it's a way to kind of gently push yourself to speak a little faster.
Yeah, okay.
While still reinforcing that correct pronunciation and flow.
So it's like adding a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, exactly. But in a good way.
Okay. I like it. So how does timed repetition work?
It's pretty simple, actually.
Okay.
You choose a short paragraph, maybe like 50 to 70 words,
All right.
and you time yourself reading it aloud at a comfortable pace.
Just like my normal speaking speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And then after a short break, you try reading it again.
Okay.
But this time, you aim to beat your previous time.
Like a little challenge against myself.
Exactly. And even if you can just be it by like 5 or 10%, that's great.
Okay. I can see how that would push me to speak a bit faster.
You repeat this for maybe 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
But remember, the goal isn't just speed. It's about maintaining clarity as you speed up.
So I still want to make sure I'm pronouncing everything correctly.
Absolutely. And a really useful tip here is to record yourself each time.
Oh, yeah, that's always a good idea.
Because when you listen back, you can often pinpoint words that you might have slurred.
Or sounds that got lost in the rush.
Exactly. It gives you that concrete feedback to work with.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we're consciously pushing our speed with timed practice.
Yes.
But what about that more intuitive, native-like rhythm and flow?
For that, shadowing is a fantastic technique.
Shadowing.
Yeah, it's like you're becoming an echo speaking along with a native speaker in real time.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So you choose a short audio clip of someone speaking naturally.
How short are we talking?
Maybe like 10 to 20 seconds.
Okay.
You listen to it once to get the gist of what they're saying.
All right.
And then you play it again. And this time you try to repeat exactly what they say.
At the same time they're saying
Exactly like you're their shadow.
Okay, that sounds like a real challenge.
It can be,
Yeah.
but it's so effective.
So what kind of audio is good for this?
Things like short news segments,
Yeah.
excerpts from interesting talks, like TED Talks,
Yeah, those are good.
or even language learning materials designed for natural listening.
Right, like those podcasts that focus on conversations.
Exactly. The key is clear natural pronunciation and a manageable length.
Got it. So I'm not waiting for them to finish a sentence.
No, you're trying to keep up with them as they go.
So I'm really trying to match their pace and their intonation.
Yes, and the rhythm of their speech.
Okay.
And don't worry too much about understanding every single word at first.
Right.
Just focus on mimicking how they sound.
Got it.
Pay attention to which words they stress, how their pitch changes.
And those linking sounds we talked about.
Exactly. It all comes together.
This sounds like a really cool technique.
It is. It's incredibly powerful for training your ear.
And for building confidence in speaking at a faster, more authentic pace.
For sure.
All right, so we're thinking in chunks, we're linking sounds. We're practicing speed with timed repetition.
Yeah.
And we're shadowing native speakers.
That's right.
What's something else that we might not immediately think about that impacts our speed and clarity?
Breathing.
Breathing.
It sounds so basic,
It does.
but it plays a huge role in how quickly and clearly you can speak.
Okay, I can see that because when you try to speed up, it's easy to forget to breathe.
Exactly.
And then you end up running out of air mid-sentence.
And then you start mumbling or rushing.
Oh, yeah, I've totally been there.
So we need to become more mindful of our breathing.
How do we do that?
Well, one technique is to consciously identify natural breathing points in sentences.
Okay.
These often coincide with the ends of those thought units we talked about.
Right, so like at the slashes.
Exactly, or at commas.
Okay.
And practicing diaphragmatic breathing can also make a big difference.
Diaphragmatic breathing, what is that?
It's where you breathe deeply into your abdomen, allowing your stomach to rise, rather than just taking shallow breaths with your chest.
Oh, I've heard that's good for singers.
It is, and it's just as helpful for speaking.
So it gives you a more controlled airflow,
Precisely.
which is essential for speaking longer phrases without running out of breath.
Exactly. Okay, this is really interesting.
And another useful technique is to incorporate short strategic pauses.
Pauses.
Yeah, maybe just like a 1-second pause between those chunks of meaning.
So it's not just about talking fast nonstop.
No, it's about using pauses effectively.
For both breath and for the listener.
Exactly. It gives you a moment to breathe, and it gives your listener a moment to process.
Right, that makes sense. And it helps with clarity, too.
Absolutely.
So how can we practice this pausing technique?
Take a sentence you've already chunked,
Okay.
and at each slash, make a conscious effort to inhale, speak the chunk, and then pause briefly.
Got it. And then as I get more comfortable, I can shorten those pauses.
Exactly, while maintaining that steady breath.
Okay, so we're managing our breath. We're using pauses strategically.
Now, how do we ensure that even when we're speaking faster, we're still being understood clearly?
That comes down to focused pronunciation practice.
Okay.
Because even if your pace increases, you need to maintain clear articulation.
Right, each sound needs to be distinct.
Exactly.
So what are some effective ways to hone our pronunciation?
Two great tools are minimal pairs and tongue twisters.
Okay, I've heard of those.
So minimal pairs are sets of words that differ by only one sound.
Like ship and sheep.
Exactly. Or pen and pan.
Okay.
And practicing these helps you distinguish those subtle but crucial differences.
Even when speaking quickly.
Right.
And tongue twisters.
Those are phrases that are designed to be difficult to pronounce.
Like she sells seashells by the seashore.
Exactly.
That one always trips me up.
But they're fantastic for strengthening the muscles we use for speech.
Okay, so how should we work these into our practice routine?
Just a short daily practice can be really effective.
Okay.
Maybe spend 3 to 5 minutes on minimal pairs. Really listening to and producing that difference in sound.
Got it.
And then pick one tongue twister and start by saying it very slowly.
Okay.
Making sure each syllable is clear.
Right.
And then gradually increase your speed while maintaining that clarity.
So the idea is that those good pronunciation habits become automatic.
Exactly, even when you're speaking faster.
That makes sense. It's like building a strong foundation.
Precisely.
Now, with all these techniques, how do we actually know if we're making progress?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's always good to have some way to measure improvement.
Absolutely. So one simple method is to regularly record yourself speaking.
Okay.
It can be a little daunting to listen to yourself.
Yeah, it can be.
But it's so valuable.
Because you can hear where you're losing clarity.
Exactly. Or where you're still hesitating.
Right. Self-recording is key.
It is. And you can also think about your words per minute, or WPM.
WPM.
Yeah, it's a way to measure your speaking speed.
Interesting. So how many words per minute should we aim for?
Well, the average conversational English rate is somewhere between 120 and a 1 in 50 WPM.
Okay.
And there are lots of free online WPM counters you can use.
So I can actually test my speed.
Exactly. And then you can set yourself small, achievable goals.
Like increasing my WPM gradually.
Right. Maybe by 10 to 15 words per minute every few weeks.
Okay.
But always remember to focus on maintaining clarity.
Right. Speed isn't everything.
Exactly.
So how often should we be checking our WPM?
Maybe once or twice a week.
All right.
And it's a good idea to keep a practice log.
A log.
Yeah, where you note down the date, the text you read, your WPM, and any notes about your clarity.
So I can track my progress over time.
Exactly. And don't forget to celebrate those milestones.
Yes, celebrating is important.
It is. It helps you stay motivated.
Now, one last thing I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
It's something that I think really helps native speakers sound so fluent.
What's that?
It's their effortless use of common phrases and expressions.
Yes, that's where phrase banks come in.
Phrase bank.
Yeah, these are collections of common expressions, idioms, collocations.
Collocation.
Yeah, words that frequently go together.
Right.
So you learn these chunks and you have them ready to use instantly.
So it's like having a mental library of ready-made phrases.
Exactly.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Things like, on the other hand, I'd be happy to, could you please?
Or even just simple responses like, you're welcome.
Exactly.
So instead of constructing each sentence word by word,
You can just pull out these ready-made chunks.
that makes a lot of sense, and it sounds like it would really speed up our speaking.
It does, because it reduces hesitation.
So how do we start building these phrase banks?
Well, think about common situations where you use English.
Like everyday conversations, ordering food, asking for directions.
Exactly. Or participating in meetings.
Okay.
And for each scenario, try to identify 5 to 10 common phrases.
That native speakers use.
Right. You can gather them from movies, TV shows, podcasts.
Or even just paying attention to native speakers in real life.
Exactly. And then practice recalling and using those phrases in context.
So it's like creating a shortcut for those common communication scenarios.
Precisely.
This has been such a helpful deep dive.
Glad to hear it.
We've covered so much.
We have.
Just to recap, we talked about chunking and linking,
Yes.
timed repetition shadowing, the importance of breathing and pausing,
Right.
pronunciation practice with minimal pairs and tongue twisters, tracking our progress and building those phrase banks.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but the key takeaway is that improving your speaking speed without sacrificing clarity
Is totally achievable.
with consistent practice.
Yes. Consistency is key.
So for everyone listening, start thinking about how you can incorporate these techniques into your daily English learning.
That's right.
Imagine the ease and confidence you'll feel when you can express your thoughts in English as quickly and clearly as they come to you.
That's the goal.
So which of these techniques will you try first to unlock that next level of fluency? Let us know. Thanks for joining us on Chat Like a Native.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time.
See you then.